Hi and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Friday, September 10th, 2021, and today's topic is called Lumino-us Sky. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening through September 5th, 2021, and it's show number 114. Now this is an alternate cover slide I was toying with called Free to Fly. I hope you enjoy them both, and hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. Now, if you followed my show at all, anyway, welcome to everyone, whether you're new or returning to this channel. If you have looked at some former ones, I always start off with a welcome and warm greetings part of the show where I give greetings from around the world in different languages. That I inadvertently, in quotes, dropped off this time. So I was so focused on giving out the message of the day, the words, wisdom, and spirit of the day, that I did not leave that on the slide. So anyway, look at my previous shows for that. There's a reason for everything, especially this too now. So there's a bit to cover, and I hope you can bear with me here in this little section. And if it's not for you, just skip ahead to the sky observations part of the show. But what I did is, just to kick things off and break the ice, I drew a card from one of the very first decks I ever purchased called the Angel Tarot deck by Doreen Virtue, Radley, Valentine, and others. And I'm not here to discuss what's going on with the evolutionary path of Doreen Virtue. I just want to say that in the moment that I got these cards, this definitely was a point in my life where these messages were really good coming in, and I'm capturing that essence of them, the good spirit of them. So in this case, I took 10 of air, and we have a group of unicorns, and there's many meanings behind those in and of themselves, but I'm not going to focus on that part. I want to focus on this. The overall message here is the end of a difficult situation. Embrace the change and expect things to get better now. Recovering from an addiction. And I have put 2 asterisks here because we're going to tie that back into another message of the day. When I looked at this card right away, forget all the other traditional meanings of tarot cards. I don't do that. I just kind of look at what messages want to come out, and it may tie into literature. In this case, it's going to tie into the Hobbit, or who knows what else, random things. In this case, it's as soon as I saw the card, I thought of Mirkwood in The Hobbit. Now, if you're not familiar with The Hobbit and hope to read it, this is going to be a major spoiler, so you might want to just skip this page until after you've read it and come back. Go ahead and look at the sky observations portion of the show if you like. Otherwise, I'm just going to go straight through this and even take quotes from the book. So that's my little spoiler alert. Okay, so in this case, it reminded me right away of Mirkwood. Now, Mirkwood was the dark, dangerous, sure-to-be deadly forest in the Hobbit, where one hobbit and the dwarves need to pass through it. There's no way around it. So right away, there were spells and dark black spells going on in that forest, and things that even the best of creatures would not be able to resist or overcome. So that's where you see here this whole group of unicorns, horses with horns, are being led away. Here we go. Hang on, I'm getting my cursor. They're being led away, but really kind of almost not by will. They're being drawn by some mysterious, mystical force that they can't break out of. And this force appears to be golden. It turns out to be very dark. But in the end, once they get through the forest, then again it is golden because they have come out so much the richer and better and actually survive things. So they're going on that path. And we got this one who is kind of broken free of that, although still is under the spell. This to me is like the glitter and the magic and the sparks of whatever's going on here, but still is present enough in and of itself to kind of break free. Now it's got the horn, so it's like an antenna. Things are being magnified and pulling it this way as it's pulling these over this way. So it's still not fully grounded in and of itself. And even if it is, it's just not connecting, in the way that needs to break it free of the spell. So anyway, then we've got this one over here who I love because based on this angle, we don't really see the horn. It's there, but it's not, it's not being used against it, let's just say. This antenna is not being used against this. So it's not subject to any kind of mind control or trickery. And it's deciding to stay very grounded and very present in and of itself in the ground and look over further into something grounding it. Now it's seeing some curiosities and magic happening in nature, but it's not the illusory magic that's, kind of distorting things. And is staying very present, and it seems actually very tranquil and peaceful, whereas this one seems a little confused and wild, and these just, are in this trance or hypnotic state. So anyway, this is a perfect example to, of course, I'm referring to what's going on in the world right now, the zombie hypnotic state of just listen to, most of these, they can't even tell you what they're listening to, but yet they're just listening to it. And this one knows something's up, it's not going to listen to it, but it still doesn't quite know where it's headed. That's okay. And this one's just grounding firm because it knows who it is. It knows what it's in touch with, and it knows its reality is absolute and beautiful. Anyway, this is a lot to tie in together today, so I hope you can bear with me once again. There's a big reason why I have addiction in these stars, and we're going to asterisk, so we'll come back up here. But anyway, there's a straight tie into the Hobbit. I'm going to read a quote at the end of all of this. Not a quote, a longer passage from this. But for now, I'm going to touch on the quote up here. So my message of the day, or the message coming through me today, is to share, is to live present. Or if you break that word down, it's pre-sent. Sent from where? From divine source. We are light. We are essence of, the divine, however you want to define divine. That's something that you cannot, put your finger on, that is just everything and no thing at the same time, the sum of all of life, of all there is. But we are here, on this planet, right here and right now specifically, to clear away fear, to just, power through the darkness and just watch it, slip below our feet as we go by. I want to say this quote by Gandalf, who is the wizard in The Hobbit, positive-oriented one. There are no safe paths in this part of the world. Remember, you are over the edge of the wild now, and in for all sorts of fun wherever you go. And I want to bring up that. Kindly consider this right now, what's going on in our world. No more saying, stay safe, please. I've said this to my own family. I'm not being snarky. It's just words have so much power and the meanings behind them. Even the best meant or intended words, we've got to really break them down and look at them for a moment, because now we are in a very focused, like these antennas, we are in a powerful time where I think it's clear to everyone, we are in a bit of a separation here, and there's stuff drawing us to negative orientation and other stuff drawing us toward positive orientation, or not even to say negative or positive, just different orientations. Strongly so, right? We're being pulled one way and the other. So the words that we use now, we're in this like window of very amplified power time, whether you're going to apply it one way or the other. So I'm just saying this as like a kindly consideration. Consider it. Do what you're going to do, of course, but really look at what you're saying, okay? So I want to say now is a perfect time to ditch that old new habit, like an old new hobbit, forgetting the armchair and freeing himself, with a capital S, the higher self, through adventure, and practice new greetings and sign-offs like live present, shine on, live glorious, happy adventures, be luminous, happiness to you, or just peace and love to you. You get the idea. And I know you can come up with even better ones, because my question of the day is this. Are you wishing others empowerment, expansiveness, and strength? Or are you wishing them, albeit inadvertently, unwittingly, victimhood, restriction, or a weakened state of being? Do your words match your good intentions? So when I hear somebody say stay safe, it irks me to no end like Mirkwood. It's like irking me like Mirkwood. Why is the presumption that the person is not going to be safe wherever they go? That kind of even suggests that they are not divinely protected, that they are not of divine essence, that will know what to do at any given moment, should they even come into a quote-unquote unsafe situation, right? That's presuming that they're not already in a state of safeness, whatever that is. So when someone is already in that state, then no harm that is not intended for that person will ever possibly happen. And there are times when we are meant to go through the quote-unquote unsafe. An example here of the hobbits about to go through this dark forest. They needed to go, and for many reasons, and there was no way around it. So I just want to read an excerpt from The Hobbit itself. Again, skip ahead if this doesn't interest you, but I'm going to do it because I can, and it's Friday, and I want to. So we have The Hobbit, and he's saying, do we really have to go through, groaned the Hobbit, meaning going into the deep, dark, doomsday forest, like who wants to do that, right? So then we have, yes, you do, said the wizard. If you want to get to the other side, you must either go through or give up your quest, and I am not going to allow you to back out now, Mr. Baggins. I'm ashamed of you for thinking of it. You have got to look after these dwarves for me. He laughed. No, no, said Bilbo. I didn't mean that. I meant, is there no way around? No way round? There is, if you care to go 200 miles or so out of your way north, and twice that south. But you wouldn't get a safe path even then. There are no safe paths in this part of the world. Remember, You are over the edge of the wild now, and in for all sorts of fun wherever you go. Before you could get round Mirkwood in the north, you would be right among the slopes of the Grey Mountains, and they are simply stiff with goblins, hobgoblins, and orcs of the worst description. Before you could get round it in the south, you would get into the land of the necromancer, and even you, Bilbo, won't need me to tell you the tales of that black sorcerer. I don't advise you to go anywhere near the places overlooked by his dark tower. Stick to the forest track, keep your spirits up, hope for the best, and with a tremendous slice of luck, you may come out one day and see the long marshes lying below you, and beyond them, high in the east, the lonely mountain where dear old Smaug lives, though I hope he's not expecting you. Very comforting you are, to be sure, growled Thorin. Goodbye. If you won't come with us, you had better get off without any more talk. Goodbye, then, and really goodbye, said Gandalf, and he turned his horse and rode down into the west. But he could not resist the temptation to have the last word. Before he had passed quite out of hearing, he turned and put his hands to his mouth and called to them. They heard his voice come faintly. Goodbye, be good, take care of yourselves, and don't leave the path. All right, so there's a lot to say about this little passage. First of all, goodbye is actually a nice greeting. It means God be with ye, right? So, although that's also kind of like superfluous if we already know that we are of God and God is with us. But anyway, all that to say, there are dangers wherever you go. So you say stay safe, and yet something else can happen. So I know I beat this to the ground, but let's just say other things, please. We are already safe. We really are. Okay, that said, let's move on into the sky observation portion. Oh, no, sorry. I had my little asterisks here for a reason. So all this to say, and again, I say it with great love, and it's just to watch our words a little more closely because we are in a time where everything's amplified energetically, polarizing toward one end or the other, and let's please use as much positive and light here, bringing on this earth that we can, and anchor it down and spread it out and shine it out. But the asterisks are here because some of these things, they become like these little, not necessarily addiction. I mean, the TV certainly, the hypnotic box is an addiction for most at this point, especially ones who aren't even opening their minds and looking at the full picture around what's going on right now and not just staying myopic and tunnel visioned here. You got to look at all different kinds of perspectives and put the whole thing together if you're going to have a balanced, intelligent, with a capital I, like something connected in with source view of things, and not listening to who are these even people at the other end of the box, who's paying their paycheck. Why are there only just a few huge global corporations that own all of the media, telling what you're supposed to hear? So again, got to question a lot of things here. So at this point, we've got the addiction going on with the box or the flat screen, whatever you're looking at. But it's also kind of addictive to say certain things. We have all of these catchphrases we never question. In my previous show, I broke down hello. What does that really mean, and who started it, right? So anyway, I'm just putting these out as questions and also encouraging us to use our words wisely and using them for us in an upliftment way and not the opposite, albeit even if it's inadvertently. Okay, that said, let's get into the sky observation portion of the show. And since I did spend a long time on that message of the day, spirit of the day, I am going to skip my intro for anybody who's new. Please do take my typical intro of explaining why I'm doing all of this on this channel. Do have a look at some of my previous shows for that, if you don't mind. And if you are returning, you already kind of know the drill on this. So we're looking at, on the left is the original, on the right-hand side is the enhanced version of just sky observations I'm taking as during my comings and goings, looking overhead wherever I am. In this case, mostly it's going to be over in the skies of Miami. And the enhanced version, which I will just say this one bit, I'm going to backtrack a bit. The enhanced just means I've edited attributes of the photo, such as color saturation, contrast, and brightness. That's it. I just up the levels a bit or lower them a bit to better highlight, to catch some things that aren't quite perceptible to the human eye, but we know are there, and things of that nature. So anyway, I look to, let's just spend our time on the right-hand side photo with the highlight version. I just saw these strange shapes, off on their own, kind of, the straight lines, triangular shape. To me, that was suspect of being some type of cloak and craft. For reasons, if you've watched any of my other shows, you'll see why too. I go in more depth on that. Then we have some strange kind of sky imprint here. And at 8.1, it almost looks like an octopus, with the legs coming down. It just, caught my attention. But something seems to be up and going on here because it's much darker, than everything else. And so I suspect there's some type of cloaking craft going on up here as well. Then we're just zooming in on these elements, that's just really looking like a good perfect triangle working on there. And then, put some enhancement, and again, these become very solid. We've got these little bright white points popping up, different color signatures, the cloaking material I refer to as plasma, kind of wafting over a more solid object. This is strange. This is just no natural shape in a natural cloud in nature. And then here we have this coming at a totally different angle, kind of like this rectangular shaped chunk, while everything else is straight, and this is making this weird bend. Again, this does not occur in natural cloud. That's why, hence, I say cloaking, cloaking craft or cloud, end quotes, activity. Here, too, it looks like there's some more solid object with some kind of vapor trail going off behind it. See what you think. Okay, then we've got another side-by-side. What caught my attention here was just this strange arm or tendril coming out and curling out while we have a pure triangle next to it. And we got weird light signatures going on at A and B. So we look to the right, you can see it a little bit better. That looks like it is some type of object cloaking both in those areas. This still remains a perfect, triangular shape on a totally different angle than everything else surrounding it. So again, jury's a little bit out on what is going on here. See what you think. Okay, then this is a slightly different scene looking to the south, and I've just tagged a few areas. I'm not going to get to all of the letters. Those just kind of what popped up, either, like in this case on the right-hand side, it's either a color burst or a burst of bright white light where it shouldn't be in the sky for this time of day. And then in this case, look, we have these parallel lines perfectly. Hold on one second. Okay, this looks like an E, like a capital E on a slant, and this has that characteristic too. So, So I'm going to just say these look like, cloak and craft. We've got a triangular form here as well, a little bit of a fuzz out, but it's there. See what you think is going on. Also, part of my voice today, I was up far too late with a lack of sleep, but this is the only time I can record this show. All right, now we have this scene, and we're looking to the west this time. Hang on one more second. Okay, looking to the west, and again, just some oddities in as terms of like this disturbance in the sky. Seemed a little choppy. I call that the staccato effect or staccato cloud, where everything is in focus, but we get this weird fuzz out and blur out to the naked eye. And I'm saying that there's cloak and craft up here are multiple that are just by inherently being what they are sending out electromagnetic wave energy or some type of frequencies or signals that are disturbing, disturbing the air, the atmosphere, in doing this, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And I think intentionally, though, because I believe it's a form of cloaking what's in the skies. At D.1, we have a linear element. It's kind of curved, but it's got a hard edge to it with some highlight points that show that's probably something that's been constructed or designed. We get weird color signatures all over the place. And, we have something to have expected maybe with the golden tones toward the sunset, although the true sunset is happening kind of all over here. We get bright white over here. But anyway, we have a weird mix. We have a weird mix of things going on, enough to show me there's some type of activity brewing. But see what you think. Here again, now we're going to look east-southeast. And I saw these weird striations coming out. Some are a little curved and wavy, just very odd. So we look to the right, and we get a bit of a warm signature, implying something's generating power or energy up in here. But see what you think this is. Again, this is not natural cloud activity. With these weird bits coming in an opposite, opposing angle, perpendicular angle at f.1, and that just would not happen in a typical cloud system that presumably would just glide across. We have these little strange things here too, which I think are little bits of cloak and craft coming out of this thing. Some weird fuzz out happening here as well. When I say cloak and craft too, it can be a manned or personed vehicle of some sorts, or it also could just be some type of instrumentation or sensors. See what you think is going on. Oh, and over here, I think we get to it. Yeah, okay. Here the same photo is on the left, the original, now the right. I just enhanced it in different ways so we could see what's going on down here in the darker area. And look at these two, I'm going to call these objects. They have a different color signature of everything going on around. They're picking up this red-pink glow. And so I'm going to say that's, craft with intelligence behind it. Okay, then we're looking east-southeast. We're going to zoom in on these little things and look at, those aren't natural cloud fragments. This is too linear, has like a dart shape, a flattened dart, like arrowhead shape to it. This has something else going on. But definitely looks like it has texture and, you know, volume and design to it. All right, now we're going to look west, and just a lot of wedge-shaped things going on, you know, coming this way, going out this way. Just seem kind of strange, just wants to be triangular. Weird things kind of looming in the distance here beyond this thick veil of artificial stuff, whatever that is, in the atmosphere. And so, you know, just taking another look at it, see what you make out of any of these things, and we're going to move on. All right, then we have some very distinct objects that are shapes, let's just say, that they're not typical cloud. This is, you know, look at the consistency of these things. These are kind of loosely falling apart, look nothing like a traditional cloud that you could name out of the books. You know, these are not cumulus or cirrus or anything. So it looks like Cloak and Craft to me, a collection of them. So let's look with enhancement. And we get at maybe a little bit more, you know, just really some odd things happening. We get some interesting color signatures happening here. And what's this thing at 8.1? You know, that's looking like a elongated, sorry, not elongated, an elliptical shape here with something like truncated flat at the end here. See what you think is going on. Again, we got that telltale fuzziness that I think is to assist in the cloaking technique. All right, then we're going to zoom in on one of those quote-unquote shapes or objects in here. We get a straight line, you know, that's much lighter in color than the monochromatic gray beyond. So I'm going to say there's something going on in here of intelligence, you know, being cloaked, and we'll take a look at that. With some enhancement, we get other white bits, like a ball-like shape at the end of this. So what's going on? This is not a natural cloud. And this is extremely low in the atmosphere in a subtropical to tropical climate, and a windless day. So how come we have something that's really straight formed this way, even with a straight angle over here, you know, and a perfectly rounded nose, almost like a whale, you know, where we don't see the tail quite. And then we have this thing. Look at this, like amoebic blob. You know, it still has artificial design in there because we've got a straight line, and it's, you know, got a triangular point up here. So what the heck is going on with these two? I'll leave that to you to look into further. And now we're going to look into this little mess over here, and then look at this. At A, there's a bright white triangular peak happening amidst all of this. Okay, that does not happen in nature. And here I'm just highlighting it here with some enhancement to call it out better. So what object is that? It's an object. All right, now we're going to, hold on one second. Okay, this is an atypical show all over the place. Sorry about my voice again. Bear with me. All right, so this one, the lower photo, is a panorama. So we've got the north to the right and the south to the left. And here we have our little, you know, collection of objects happening here, but it was looking really interesting up here over 2 on the left hand of the photo. So let's look up. The enhanced version really shows, pulls out a lot of stuff. I'm going to leave this to you to kind of take a closer look at and really wonder at, but, you know, I've kind of flagged the obvious strange things going on. There's also some object looking like it wants to emerge up out of here. And once again, if this is the presumed supposed sunset happening with all the golden and fiery colors, why, oh why, are we getting these bright bursts of white and white-blue light, you know, going on all in places where they should not be? This is looking like an object too over here, a cloaked object. Okay, now we're going to look west again at just some oddities. Again, those triangular-looking shapes. Now we got these little white bits coming through the atmosphere. And with some enhancement, we really see that this looks like a part of the tip of an object that's being cloaked beyond. We got this weird kind of turnip shape or something, this ball here at C.1. We get this weird shape beyond with a pure curve coming down with like these little divots or craters in them. What is all this stuff? I'm just going to say for now there's multiple craft of many different types cloaking in this area. Then I look over here to the north. This whole installation or collection of stuff was extremely low in the sky. We have something coming down to a point here. This was not in any way, shape, or form weather that suggested tornadoes. So what is this doing on its own? Then we get this weird pure triangular form with this weird like hook out coming, you know, from the side. We have weird light quality happening above. So we look at this with enhancement, and look at this. It's just beautiful from an image point of view. But also we've got that staccato cloud effect above. We've got a strange light source here that's different from this one here, and they're side by side, as is different from this red-pink right here. So what the heck is going on in this slightly upper atmosphere? It's all still very low. And then this, We're going to take a look in at what's going on over here. Just all very strange. Oh, and going back, look at the consistency again. This is like a dense smoke, you know, almost like the fog machines if you've ever been dancing back in the day on a disco floor and they bring out the fog machines. The smoke has that very, very thick density to it, right? And then this is doing its own thing. So again, these cannot coexist side by side in a typical, you know, weather system of days, decades past, and yet it is. And so now we're going to look at this. That's a curiosity. You know, I want to take a better look at. And so here we go with some enhancement. What's that doing? What is that? You know, that's not, again, a cloud that's too perfect. There's a hard, straight edge with density to it, making a perfect hook. This is going to be a rhetorical question. I don't know what that is, but I know that's not a natural cloud. And then beyond, we see some, you know, curious shapes. This looks like it has density to it, suggesting something's cloaking these dark bits. Something's cloaking beyond in this. And then we go up to 8.2 just to zoom in on this little feature. I don't get at anything quite better, you know, what that is. More questions than answers, but see what you think's happening. And as always, I ask if you have any fun, fantastical ideas on any of this stuff or what it could be. It can, you know, just be for fun, not based on any logic, or even if it is, put it in the comment section below if you feel like sharing. What's of note too here is we've got all these different color ranges, and yet this is bright white. Again, that would not happen with natural, you know, regular light physics and nature. And this, again, is not a typical formed cloud. This is extremely low in the atmosphere. It is hot, 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 you know, humid. You know, there's no cool air to help form this in high altitude. That's all I'm going to say. All right, now we're going to look at this side by side. This is looking south, and we get this weird dark imprint and this weird burst of light. Again, this is south, not west at the sunset. If we look to the right, the sunset, you can see the effects of it over here with the orange and yellow colors. Why is this pure white, like coming down like this? And then we've got this gold-green stuff, and then this ethereal, like, you know, mysterious blue happening. So see what you think is going on. Here we go, the same scene, just with slightly different enhancement to pull out all the different, you know, color signatures and ranges of what's going on. And this still holds true as an object. So that's a flattened edge, a straight edge here, straight edge here. It's almost like it's probably a pentagon. Yeah, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pentagon or something else, or hexagon possibly, a weird elongated one. But see what you think that is and what's going on. It does look otherworldly. It does definitely look like it has intelligent design to it. Okay, this is the scene. Let's see, one of the covers anyway. And so what caught my attention here too is just this weird artificial blanket of cloud, the way the light is catching in this thing, and yet we have very standalone, strange, quote-unquote clouds in front, right, and that are totally different from the shapes of these, yet at the same altitude. And then we get this burst of white, and then now also the rim. There's an object sitting here perched on the rim. We're going to look with enhancement. This goes back to some of my other shows, like Rim Watching 2, where I noted craft, documented craft, you know, perched on the rim, like Light Body Craft and others. But then you see them sitting there, and then you see them, you know, taken off, and you have to watch it for a while and take a lot of photos. But you can see it, you can observe it. Anyway, let's keep going. And now this is just another slightly different view of this, catching more of the vertical of what's going on above. And we look to the right, and look at that. This is a clear line, like an outside tracing, like an outline of a triangle on an angle. We have this thing coming down and then going this way. So this to me looks like a cloaking craft body with like a tail or fin above. And then I'm not sure what's going on up in here, but it's not natural, I'll tell you that. See what you think is going on with this overall thing. This to me is a pure triangle sitting there with plasma wafting over it. And again, plasma is just my go-to for cloaking material. A little bit heavier than water vapor, denser, that can stick around literally and cloak things. See what you think's happening in here. Again, we've got this burst of color signature coming from the presumed sunset, and we've got red mixed in there, and then we go to these ethereal blues and whites. Alright, this is looking off to the sorry, this should be southeast, not west. I didn't update that one. But anyway, it caught my attention because I started to see a rainbow forming. And so I was just trying to pull it out a little bit better, but instead I got a surprise of there's all this warm signature happening in here, and this just seems to be the leading edge of it. So I'm not sure what's happening beyond, but I'm going to say there's some type of cloak and craft activity generating this red-pink signature, because otherwise it should not be here to the southeast. Again, that should be southeast, not west. All right, now we are going to hop back over to the west and look, just take in a slightly different angle of this overall scene that we were documenting earlier. And, here what caught my attention was C.1. Actually, A.12, because that's a peak of a triangular, perfect triangular form, symmetrical. And then here, these darker bits, are part of this. And then a few frames later, they just disappear. And so, to me, there's like hints of little cloak and craft and just oddities. Enough worth noting that there's probably cloak and craft going on in here. Again, look at the different color signatures and how much they change and range. What is this bright burst at B.1? It seems to carry down here. We see, little bits and effects of it happening, poking in through here. Anyway, I'm going to set cloak and craft of various types. Then we're going to look southwest and just get this beautiful color as, some of the brighter colors are fading with the sunset. And here we see these little oddities here at A.1, C.1, weird little things like this backlit shape happening over here, flat angle, that looks like a symmetrical shape of intelligent design. But as always, see what you think is going on in here. All right, well, this is usually where I insert the photo of the day to have the close of the show. And in this case, I'm just leaving it blank and asking you, just take a moment, if you like, to think about it. What would your photo of the day be and why? It can be something very simple, mundane, ordinary, that just caught your attention. It could be an event that happened in the day that you're not sure why it happened. Maybe just think about it for a moment. And as I like to say, even if there's something that presumably or seemingly bad or negative happens in your day, as soon as you remember, it can be as it's happening. If you can remember to do this, it's great. The closer to when it's happening, the better. It can also be after the fact, though, when you try to look at the day. But I always like to say it's happening for me, not to me. And then right away, everything flips around from a negative to a positive as the event is happening. As soon as I can remember to say it, sometimes I'll go, oh crap, and then I go, oh no, it's happening for me, not to me. And then it totally shifts, like, pivots immediately to something really good, and things line up, and I have the help that I need, whereas, as things were happening, it seemed like, oh my God, what am I going to do kind of moments. So remember, as soon as you can remember something seemingly adverse coming your way, just say it's happening for me, not to me, and you will find a power works through you and draws all good things toward you. Also, if you're kind of looking at it later in the day and go, geez, that was really negative, and you say you didn't remember to say it's happening for me, not to me, then you look at it later and just go, why did that happen? I don't understand why that was like so negative or seemingly negative, and just say, okay, well, I don't understand it, but I got to believe it was happening for me, not to me. And then an answer will reveal to you, or something will happen that will be the opposite side of what you experienced in the form of luck or good news or upliftment. So just play around with that if you're not familiar with that already. All right, well, I want to say thank you for stopping by here a little while. And it is Friday where I am, and actually it doesn't matter what day of the week. Those have power too if you look at the meanings of the names of the days of the week in whatever language you are in. But for now, I just want to say have a gorgeous right now, and I wish you tremendous peace and love, as it is with you wherever you go. Best wishes. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.